Hey, how you doing? I'm your friend, Mike Squires, and this is the Couchress Podcast, episode number 205. 205. That means there were 204 episodes before this. My guest this episode is Mr. Dave Hill. Dave Hill, aka the Pride of Cleveland, is a very funny comedian, comedy writer, shredding guitar player. And he has done a lot of cool stuff and a massive variety of cool stuff. Talking to him about all the things that he's done, I feel like this is a very long conversation. We went on for a long time. We went on some tangents, but I feel like I could have just asked him questions about his interactions with famous people, with a focus on the metal community that we both admire, and that he's friendly with. But we cover a lot of ground here, as always. Have a lot of fun, have some laughs, talk some guitars. Dave has a comedy special that you can watch on YouTube called The Pride of Cleveland, and you should check it out. It's great. It is comedy and comedy rock shredding, and you should watch it. He's so good. He's so good. He's also going to be on an upcoming episode of Couch Riffs, which is really, really good. Johnny Martin, I'm looking at you, buddy. You need to finish your bass part. Come on, pal. Come on. You're the last in line. So I hope that you enjoyed this as much as I did. Oh, hey, also look out for Dave on tour with Puddle's Pity Party. They're going to be out on tour the week that this comes out. What's today? The 9th, 10th is tomorrow, maybe 10th of January 2022. So look out for them on tour. You don't want to miss this. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you to all the folks who support at Patreon. Thank you, you guys. I promise there are some videos coming. The winter, December was a tough month, and getting stuff done is really hard. But I promise you there's an amazing benefit video coming. It's finished. I'm editing the video now. And there are about 12 things that are 1 or 2 parts from being done. So I'm doing my best to get those things done. And so thank you for everyone for supporting at Patreon. Thank you for watching, listening, liking, clicking, sharing, leaving reviews for the podcast, all that jazz. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Also, I want to say thank you so much to Variety Coffee Roasters in Brooklyn, New York. I drink it every morning. I love it. I recommend it. And what I would recommend you do is go check out varietycoffeeroasters.com and look at their subscription service. You never have to worry about running out of coffee. Huh, do you, Mr. Big? You go over there, click on a couple clickety clicks, and then boom, every whatever you want, 1 week, 2 weeks, every month, coffee shows up in your mailbox. Isn't that something? I'd say that is the pinnacle of modern convenience. So check out Variety Coffee Roasters. Thank you so much, Variety, for your support. I love you. All right. Now listen, we're going to get into the conversation. Don't forget the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. That's paraphrasing the golden rule, but you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Don't be a dick, okay? I was super ambitious asking you if you're a morning person because this week has been shitty for me waking up. I slept in.
Oh.
And I'm not even a full cup of coffee into my day yet.
Oh, me neither. I'm just getting started.
Is that right?
Yeah.
We're getting kickstarted together.
Yeah. This is my first car I just put a pot on.
I like your style.
Thanks.
When I was in the 8th grade, I sat in front of my sound design stereo with In League with Satan.
Oh, nice.
Really tried to sell my soul for whatever for fast adulthood.
Oh, that's excellent. I love Venom. I'm friends with Mike Hickey. Do you know Mike?
I don't know him, but Instagram.
He was in Venom, so that's how I met him actually. I went to see Venom at Irving Plaza like 2009 maybe, and I wrote about it. I had like a blog that I was keeping up at the time, and I used to just write about everything I did. And so I wrote about going to see Venom, and he found the review and really liked it and reached out to me, and that's how we became friends.
That guy has got a crazy story too, right? I mean, he's done a lot.
Yeah, totally. I mean, he was Joe Bonamassa's tech for a long time.
I heard he auditioned for Poison.
I think so. And I think the way this is Mike's story, so I shouldn't be telling his story, but my favorite story. He told me that he wound up in Venom because he was like, oh, he wasn't like an LA pretty boy, so like Venom was looking for a guitar player, and he sent a tape in. It was whenever it was like send a cassette in, and so they're like, yeah, come on over. And so he goes over and he drinks with the drummer. Is it Abaddon? And he's drinking with him for like a couple days, and then finally Kronos comes out to the bar. He comes to the bar, and I don't know if it was at the bar or when they finally decided to play after like 3 or 4 days of drinking. And he's like, yeah, I really love that version of Flight of the Bumblebee you did. And Mike's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, Flight of the Bumblebee. You did it on the tape you sent. He's like, no, I didn't. and so they realized they brought the wrong guy over to Newcastle. And then they were like, well, you should be you're awesome. And you can drink with us. So you should be in the band.
And we already bought your ticket.
Yeah. So I don't know. So that's just, secondhand story I'm telling you. Maybe I shouldn't be. I don't know if that's a secret story. I don't think so. But
I mean, I don't think it should be a secret.
No, I don't think so. It's pretty great. And he's, the guy's he's the best guitar player on earth, pretty much.
You're a metal kid growing up, yeah?
Yeah, but everything. I've always been into like all music. I know everyone says that, but like my buddy Tim Parnan, like we were always into, because when you're a kid, like you're supposed to like pick a thing, and I'm only into.
That's your crew.
What's that?
That's your crew.
Yeah, like, and we would go see everything. We would go see the Replacements, then we'd go see Rat. And then I went to the doctor's yesterday, by the way, not to brag. That's why I have a Band-Aid on my hand still.
I thought it was fashion forward.
Yeah, I don't want people to think I was, I don't know, doing
Escape.
I guess if I were, yeah. But yeah, we would go see everything. I would, anyway, that's but yeah, in the metal and. But yeah, pretty much like if there was a guitar on stage, I would go to the show. We would go.
So there was no crew. There was no like compartmentalization for you. It wasn't like, all right, today I'm wearing my battle vest.
No.
Tomorrow I'm wearing my parachute pants.
No. It was just kind of like, just picking and choosing from the big buffet of life, just everything, We just kind of mixed it all together.
Right.
I mean, our friends didn't really. They were like, what? Why did you went to see Rat last night? And we were like, yeah, it's fucking amazing.
Why are you hanging out with those losers?
Yeah, we were just into everything. Like even now, I'm still that way, obviously, but I hate when people talk about like guilty pleasures, like, oh, or like,
Right.
try to be ironic.
Why are you guilty? Why do you feel guilty?
Yeah, like there's nothing. I don't know if I like something, I like something. The only thing I would say, and I feel bad because I don't want this to sound mean, but there
Burning
was
squirrels.
a period where I was like, man, that Third Eye Blind really has some catchy songs. But I was like, I kind of want to rename it in my iTunes because I was just like, they're not very cool, but I stand by it. Catchy songs. What are you gonna do?
It's not a great name for a band.
It's not, but I
There's a
always
reason
say
they were
if
hits.
they had been British, they would have been playing stadiums in Britain.
Probably.
But
Right. They would have been huge there.
Yes. Still not huge here. But, well, probably about the same size.
They sold a lot of records.
They did well for themselves, I think. And it's not, I'm sure, they're probably not worried about what I think
what
of
we're
them.
saying.
But I like them. So there.
Right. How funny is it when there's a band that you're just like, oh God, I'm not into this. I can't stand hearing this. And then you meet them.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're way more sympathetic to how much, to their music. It's happened to me quite a lot, of course.
Yeah, but also, I don't know. I think I don't get any more sympathetic. I don't hate. I sort of learned to not really hate. Like for me, like if someone's kind, that's all I really care about. So like someone's band, I don't need to like someone's band as long if I meet someone and they're nice, I'm like, oh cool. I hope you guys become the biggest band in the world. I'm friends with. I can't name the bands, but
Right.
I do know some guys, really nice guys, in some bands where I'm like, that is not my thing. But I'm glad they're doing it for them.
Yeah.
Also, again,
because,
like bands that are massive, and they're not really worried what I think about them.
You don't think? They're not
probably
chasing
sitting
down
around
your
like,
blog.
oh, we're playing to 10,000 people, but if only Dave would listen to our records.
Please, Dave. Tell the people how great we are. Did you actually grow up in Cleveland?
Yeah. East side from University Heights, Ohio. Yeah.
See a lot of shows at the Grog Shop, did you?
Yeah. Played at the Grog Shop a million times. And Grog Shop and Agora, Beachland Ballroom. And yeah, I was just saying to someone on the, like Instagram or something was asking me like what my favorite Cleveland venue was, and they didn't name the Grog Shop. I was like, it's the Grog Shop. Why isn't this on there? Right.
That's I love that place.
Totally. Which band? And they're such nice people. Which band did you play there with?
I played there with a band called Alien Crime Syndicate.
Oh yeah.
Which, do you remember the Mises?
Mm-hmm.
The Mises was Joe Meese. Alien Crime Syndicate was the next band he sang in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't remember who we were. We might have played with local bands. I don't think we were there on a tour. But it was great, man. It was one of my first tours that I ever did, too. So everything was, your first tour, everything is magic.
Yeah.
Your last tour, everything is the same.
Yeah, your last tour, you're like, why am I doing this?
No. I love this. Why do I love this?
I know. I don't know. I like touring, except, most of it I don't like. But I like time.
Oh, you don't like sitting in a van for 9 hours driving from fucking Tehachapi to Wickensaw?
Not usually. I mean, because I have a theory, though I just did a tour and I'm going back on tour in a few days, and it did not happen on this tour. Probably happened with me. But I've been on tour with Puddles Pity Party. Do you know Puddles?
Yeah.
So Puddles and I are doing a bunch of shows together, and this did not. I think because it's a mix of men and women. There's 6 of us in the Sprinter thing, but normally when it's a bunch of dudes in a van or a bus, I think the intelligence is cut in half very quickly. sometimes with great results, but sometimes with very poor results.
Right. Sometimes it devolves into some really great pranks, and sometimes it's just basically like the realization, the living realization of pull my finger.
Yeah. It's can get like Lord of the Flies and just very bad. So, and sometimes I'm to blame. I've been, not saying I'm not saying I'm not part of the problem.
You're but a man.
Yeah, if there's, I've both helped and hurt situations in various bands in the van, creating good vibes and bad vibes.
All vibes only is what I say. I say that actually. When did you start playing guitar? Did you grow up in a musical house?
Yeah, my dad played piano and all, all my I had 3 sisters and a brother, and I think everyone took piano lessons at some point. I'm not sure if my brother did, can't remember. And my dad played guitar, like Spanish guitar. And so, yeah, there was that, but I'm the only one who really, was gung-ho about it. Like I desperately wanted to play electric guitar from about the age of 7 on, and then my dad said I had to take piano lessons first because to prove that like I was serious about music and didn't want to just make noise, which I think was smart. So I took piano lessons for a few years, and then when I was like 12, I started like playing on one string on his classical guitar. And then when I was 13, that's when I finally got an electric guitar, once I'd like proven I was serious.
Remember the first song that you learned on that nylon string thing?
I mean, probably the obvious ones, Smoke on the Water. I think probably because I had heard that should be the first song I should learn,
Right.
But I think, I don't know, it's probably like
a lot of people learn Iron Man in the wrong key on that one E string.
Yeah, I don't think I did that. I was probably like, probably like The Who and stuff. I mean, The Who and Zeppelin. But when I was 13, I was Zeppelin was probably my favorite band from when I was 12 on. And, my dad bought Led Zeppelin 4, and like he wasn't into rock at all. It was the only rock record I ever saw him buy. And he brought that home, and that was like the first record that I was like, oh, like I remember being like 7 or something when he brought it home, and it was like the first music that I was scared of, like not in a bad way, but scared, like, oh shit, something's up, like this doesn't sound like anything I've heard before, like, because I was only hearing, like, I wasn't in charge of the radio at that age, so I was only hearing what was presented to me.
AOR.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it was an amazing feeling. I just remember being like, whoa, just, and like, there's no, there's no logo, there's no title, anything. I was like, who the fuck? Well, like, it's just some guy with some sticks on his back. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it looks a little scary.
It's terrifying.
He's
yeah,
like
some old guy,
over.
like.
Old people were pretty scary when you're young, just baseline.
Yeah, it's funny. My friend Tom Papa tells this story. There's this restaurant in my neighborhood in New York that I go to all the time, and it's everyone, like, you can't go there and not be the youngest person there. It's this like old school Italian restaurant, and like he talks about bringing his kids there when they were little, and they were like, "This place is scary. Everyone's old."
What was your dad listening to? Was he listening to like what was on the radio at that time, like
No,
Dan
like he's
Fogelberg and
just classical and jazz. That's like his thing. And but somehow he's really into Zeppelin. He's 89 years old now, and it's like you can go on YouTube and watch a video that we made a few years ago of him playing. We're playing Stairway to Heaven together. If you search like Dave Hill, Bob Hill, Stairway to Heaven, and yeah, it wasn't like. I wasn't like, "Hey, Dad, like, learn Stairway to Heaven, and we'll make a viral video." Like, it was just like he was doing it anyway.
yeah.
And so I was like, we need to document this.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I can't wait. I'm going to watch that.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty. And if you watch the video, it's just one. Like that's the tape. We cut out a section because he plays very slow, so it's like a 6-minute song that his version's like 20 minutes. And I ended up writing about in my second book. I ended up writing about Led Zeppelin and my dad and all that. And so we ended up using the video to promote my second book. So we cut it into like a shorter thing. But the video that you see, the footage is the only time, it wasn't like we sat and like shot and tried to get takes. It's just like we just played it that one time.
Right.
And it was like, it's pretty powerful stuff.
Does he own all their catalog?
No, he's like, I don't think he does. I think he's like, just a Led Zeppelin 4 guy, to my knowledge.
It's a crossover album.
Somehow, what's that?
It's a crossover album.
I know. Well, the thing is, I mean, we don't need to go down this whole, but I mean, they don't have any bad. It's like they're the best band. They're still my favorite band. I know that's like I'd say that as if like I have a secret. I like Led Zeppelin. No one's ever been into them before. But I'm into the biggest
it's
band
important
in the
to
world.
state the obvious. It's very
like,
important to state the obvious.
I think people think that I'd be into like something slightly. My favorite thing would be like something slightly more obscure, but not the case.
Right. Like Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus. I actually don't. I'm not saying this to like make me sound. I was going to say make me sound cool, but it probably makes me sound lame. I would not know her music if I heard it.
I don't think I would either. She is she's a part of this thing that makes me realize how old I am, though. Which, I mean, a mirror will do that, but but when I see young people, 30 and younger, whatever,
yep,
covering the songs that were just the songs that were popular when I was in my teens and 20s, then I realized that when the bands of the 90s, like the alt rock bands, would cover Neil Young or something, except that Neil Young has always been vital and cool. And anyway, this sort of revivalism makes me feel old as shit.
We're done. We'll be dead very soon in the grand scheme of things.
I mean, it's great. I cannot wait to commune with infinity. I think it'll.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I always, I like see what music I'm listening to, and like, what's the newest thing I'm listening to? I'm like, oh, this is new, and then I look and it's like 5-10 years old, but to my mind, it's like brand new. And then when I was a kid, like I remember when I really like went hardcore into Zeppelin, I was like, oh, they're like an old band, and they had been broken up like a couple years.
Yeah.
But I don't
yeah.
know. What are you gonna do?
If I could save time in a bottle.
Yeah.
So So you started pretty young.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That seems like a pretty standard age to.
You were preteen when you started playing.
Yeah, I started music, yeah, piano, but that was like, I think it was sort of like a discipline or whatever. Like I think all my siblings had to like learn it sort of like to, like almost like a burden. Like you will learn how to do something you maybe don't want to do. So like I only think maybe one of my sisters had any enthusiasm for like playing the piano.
It might as well have been edging the yard.
Yeah, it was just something, Karate Kid type stuff,
Right.
Um,
How soon before you were forming bands with kids from school?
we tried to do it in 8th grade, but like I always a prick, really. Like early on, like because I always practiced and really worked at it, and I had no patience for anyone who didn't do that. So I was never in a band until college, really, that lasted very long, because I was just in like 8th grade, and then high school I was just like, wait, why do you suck? Like why don't you get good at that?
When someone's just being a kid and having a hobby, you're like, why are you so shitty?
Yeah, and so quite understandably, no one really wanted to be around that. I'm sure I didn't word it like that, but like I wanted to be good and not just make noise. So most of the bands never lasted very long. They would just be like, "Oh, we're gonna do something else, Dave." So, but
is there any awesome footage of you somewhere playing Eruption at a school talent show or anything like that?
there are some. I think in my high school yearbook, there's a picture of me and my buddy Tim Parnan that I mentioned. And Tim plays in a few bands, but he plays in a band called Sweet Apple, a band called Falling Stars, and he's VP of the Rock Hall now too. So he's just rocking. So if you ever need a disc, this is right up there with Mike Hickey's Venom story. I probably shouldn't be offering you free tickets to the Rock Hall on Tim's behalf, but I'll just do it.
The one time I went there was the day that I played at the Grog Shop.
Oh yeah,
it's awesome.
It is. If you like rock, that's the place.
It's the hall.
But yeah, I think there was a photo of us playing, at like a school rally or something. But we both started playing in church. Like that's how. Like I started playing. We both started playing with nuns, like in 8th grade, and that was really my first band. Was like playing, because the nuns.
What instruments did the nuns play?
They played acoustic guitar, and were nice enough to like let us bring our electric guitars to church and play. Play these 3-chord, church songs and in.
Did you have a BC Rich?
What's that?
Did you have a BC Rich?
I wish I did. What Tim did actually. His second guitar. I had a Vantage. Like I got it. My dad bought it for me. It's like when I knew nothing about any guitars. I would just like we went to the music store that was close to our house and bought one of the guitars they had for sale. Because we were like, that's a guitar. Let's get that. And so I had that, and my buddy Jim still has that actual guitar. But Tim had a BC Rich Eagle, like a full on, like a
real deal
70s BC Rich Eagle that somewhere along the way, I don't know if he did or someone put a Floyd Rose on it. Because it was a simpler time when you didn't think like, oh, I shouldn't put a Floyd Rose on the 70s.
Someday this is going to be worth $17,000.
Yeah. So It had a Floyd Rose on it. And then we both went to Fordham for college.
Where is that?
In the Bronx. And this was like, it was the late 80s, a time where, Cinderella and Yngwie and Steve Vai were all doing that thing where you like throw the guitar around, it spins around your back.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's the best thing you can do in music. And so it was like a Friday night, we were like in the dorm, just the two of us like drinking beer, and we're like, you gotta figure out how to do that. And so
Oh, no.
he's taking it, yeah, like what would now be a guitar worth thousands of dollars. He starts whipping it around, and then like it's doing it, but it's not like doing it like the guys in Cinderella are doing it flawlessly. And so I'm like, give it a real go now, like really put some energy into it. And he does it, and he had a strap lock installed, and the strap lock ripped out, this whole screw ripped out of one of the things, and the thing just bam hit the floor, and the headstock snapped off. And he was very sad.
What became of that guitar?
I think, as the story goes, I think like his dad had the smarts to insure it, so it was insured, and I think the insurance company gave him money for it, and he had to give it to them. And
the guitar, he had to give the guitar to the insurance company.
This is as I understand it. So they took it. They're like, we'll give you the money, but you have to send us this thing. So he did. And then we went
he
to
bought a Jackson Soloist.
What's that?
Did he buy a Jackson Soloist?
You're very
with that
close.
Money?
I actually have a Jackson Soloist, not to brag. But it's a USA. I got it actually in the last few years. This never happens. It's a USA Jackson Soloist that someone had on eBay for like, they must have been like, get this thing out of my house. It was like, I paid like $1,100 for it.
What?
I know, it's insane. It must be like, I don't,
had a misspelling in the listing, and they were like, I don't understand what's happening. Like all the other ones are selling for $4,000.
I have no understanding why, but it's it's awesome. Nothing's wrong. It's great. Anyway, but no.
Here's a hot tip: when you're searching for stuff on eBay, misspell something a few different ways when you're searching.
Oh yeah,
because there's a lot of dinglings out there who cannot spell. I don't know if you know that about America.
Well, this is something that's been especially prevalent in the last few years.
Yeah,
that I've noticed.
If you misspell something, you sometimes come up with some gems. And if it's a buy it now or a make offer, jump on it.
Oh, this is a good tip. This is I like this. But Tim, so he ended up buying. We went down to 48th Street, and he bought, and because 48th Street Custom Guitars was like the USA office for ESP, and we were super into ESP
because George Lynch.
Because of George Lynch. Like, this is I hope I'm talking about the right things on this show. I'm just going down these roads of telling you.
No, it's wonderful.
But like, I should do that. I should do this more often in life. But Tim and I, in high school, we were buying all the guitar magazines. And we were like, George Lynch plays ESP. And we were like, one day we're going to form a band, and we're going to get a record deal, and we're going to get guitars from ESP. We said this when we were like 15 years old, and it happened. We did it. But before that happened, he took the insurance money and bought an ESP, like a purple ESP Eclipse on 48th Street that he still has.
Nice.
But then when our first band, the band that we formed in college called Sons of Elvis, the best / worst band name of all time, we got signed to Priority Records in the 90s, and then ESP, gave us like an artist deal. I don't think it's still in place. Like someone from ESP is listening, like, I don't have these guys in our files. But at the time,
you don't think you can just shoot them a message and be like, "Hey,
it's
can
Dave.
I get one of those 8-stringers?"
Maybe I could. Maybe my stock has gone up in the interim.
What were you guys doing?
What, like musically?
Yeah.
We were like a rock band. I mean, I guess we were ostensibly like an alternative rock band, being the mid 90s. But it's pretty not very alternative, if you go back and listen to it.
But you guys had bobs.
Yeah, well, we had like pretty grungy, embarrassing, grungy hair. Not embarrassing, but it's just kind of like long
Of the time.
curly hair, and probably I'd just say embarrassing, and that wasn't flattering, probably. But no, it was pretty. I don't know, like people would say we sounded like Guns N' Roses and Aerosmith and stuff. So it was probably like that, but like with funneled through whatever 90s-ness we were. I don't know. We were
Dinosaur
impressionable
Jr.
youth, right out of school. But
So that was your first like real band that gigged?
Yeah, we formed it in college, and that was
Got a record deal.
Yeah, like it was me and Tim and our buddy Pat. We all went to grade school and high school together, and we went to the same college. Like, I think like pretty much to form, because we wanted to form a band. Like we couldn't tell our parents. That's why we were like, having them send us to school. But we formed this group, and then we met our friend John, who ended up being the singer. And and we were just like this loud band in college. And this is, I think, if I can say anything to the young people, we were very bad at first, but we assumed and acted and spoke like we were the best, always. And like we were, yes, like, and the other people had bands, and we were just like, yeah, we're the best band. Like, and we were the only band really to, like, I guess other people did it eventually, but we would go, down to the East Village and go and bring our cassette and, go down to CBGB's and be like, did you listen to our tape yet? And did all this stuff, and we were teenagers, and then we would finally started playing CBGBs and different places around, and we would take the subway down to go play, like because we didn't have, and like one kid would have a car, and like so we would talk him into driving our equipment down, and then the rest of us would take the subway with all of our friends who were,
you couldn't fit in with the
gear,
because
it was like drums and all that. So like one of us would go in the car with whoever we had talked into driving our gear to the show, and the rest of us would ride down on the subway with our friends who were coming to see us. And that's how we did it.
That's how we did in the olden days, kids.
Well, now you would just, the young kids, they just throw their laptop in their bag, and then that's the show. Not
when I got to New York, I moved into a 4th floor walk up, and I had an SVT.
Oh my gosh.
And then the next week I had a storage space.
Oh, wow. Well, gosh, that's like a real middle ground. Like you know, you'd think you would just get rid of the SVT, but I think there's something where there's no, I think the universe makes it so if you have an SVT, you have to be in like a fourth, like you have to have several flights of stairs just to
Here's
prove.
another thing. It's kind of hard to sell an SVT in New York. Like the Craigslist in New York, you'll be hard pressed to find an 810 cabinet.
Oh,
They don't exist in like a 50-mile radius around the city, but you get to Pittsburgh or something, or you get
oh
out to,
yeah.
over to Philly. Sure, you'll find them over there.
No,
Nobody's got them.
there's no. I mean, I have an orange half stack. I have the head here, but I have like a 70s orange 412 that I haven't seen in years because it's in my friend's rehearsal in the music building on 8th Avenue.
Right, what are you going to do with it?
I know, and I keep threatening to come and get it because I'm like it's it's like the orange cabinet that everyone would want if they want an orange cabinet. It's the real thing, it's not like the reissues or whatever. And but I'm just like, what am I gonna do? Put it out on outside on my deck? I thought about just putting it on my deck, which is not, I mentioned this not to slip in and brag that I have a deck. I'm just saying, like, I'm just telling you what I was thinking. Or I thought about getting some glass and making it a coffee table, but I thought that would be the meanest thing I could do to my girlfriend, to be like, hey, let's have an orange half stack as a coffee table.
So awesome.
Yeah, she's like, that's cool, Dave. But yeah, you can't have that stuff around in your house in New York.
Impossible. And then after that, I had a small amplifier. Now I have no bass amplifier.
Oh, one of my bands, Valley Lodge. That's the way to do it. Yeah, because fuck it, I won't even bring an amp to a show. If there's not an amp there, like, I'm just like, no, sorry.
Right.
Not happening.
Let me ask you this. How long before you guys got your deal, and what does that do to a young developing mind? Like, I formed a band and we got signed. You already have the idea in your head and you're already projecting, whether you believe it or not, that you're the best band.
Yeah.
Right? And then things start to happen for you.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty, I mean, it was very, like, it was cool, that it happened. But we truly believe that that's what should happen. I wish I had more of that in my head now with anything.
Well, all of your experiences from that, all of the humbling experiences that you got when you were young inform how you approach opportunity now,
well,
right?
I think that is part of it. Like, cause we signed this deal and naturally thought like, oh, well, we'll be the next Led Zeppelin. We'll be playing arenas because we're amazing. So that's the only possible thing that could happen, And like we would play, and we were nice. Let me be clear. I know it would make us sound like we were a bunch of assholes. We were, I think, very nice all the time. But in our heads, we were like, thought we were the greatest band.
You have to believe that.
Why not?
Otherwise, why bother?
There's no reason you shouldn't. And
why bother if you don't?
Yeah. So, but when we would do, like, we would play radio fests, that were sort of, I guess they still do them, but there would be like all those festivals where it would be like Bush and Alanis Morissette, but again, peak mid-90s radio festivals, and we would play like to 20,000 people. And when we would do that, those were our best shows because we were like, yeah, this is how it should be. Like, we felt super comfortable because we were like, yeah, this is this is us in our natural environment to 20,000 people. And like,
Of course.
when we, but the reality would be we would be playing, we could play to 1,000, 1,000 people might come to see us. But yeah, when we would do those big festivals, we were like, yeah, this is eventually will be what we do every night. And
that's what you guys were. You guys were drawing 1,000 people.
Not in every city. I should be clear. If we were on the
Cleveland.
radio, like in a very small window, we had a song or two on the radio and video on MTV like at 3 a.m. So
Right.
we did a few shows like that where 1,000 people would come out, but plenty of other times, if it was a market where we weren't on the radio, then not the case. But and then we actually opened for Slash's Snake Pit once. Which was pretty awesome. Because Tad, the band Tad.
Yeah, of
great
course.
Band. They were playing, so like I was like, I want to see this show, So we were.
Tad toured with Slash.
Yeah, I think it was like I don't know how that came together, but it's what happened. It was probably like,
wow,
I don't know, but so like we were they were playing in Cleveland, and I knew the promoter, so I was like, oh, can we come to the show? And then they called like the day, it's landline, so I'm at my parents' house, and the promoter calls, and I was like, is this fucker calling to say we can't come see Slash's Snake Pit? And he's like, Tad,
you didn't realize that they just omit your name from the list. They don't actually give you a courtesy call.
Yeah. But it was it was the earliest days of guest list life for me. But I assumed people would call you and tell you to go fuck yourself. But
right.
So he called and he's like, Tad's not going to play tonight. Do you guys want to play? So we were like, yeah. So we went down there, and I assume Slash. I always tell this story as how a celebrity should behave. Not behave like there's rules for any, just how kindness was my point.
Right.
But like Slash is, obviously still today one of the most famous people on planet Earth, and he was, this was 1995 or 6 or something. We walk into the venue, they're sound checking, and he's like, hey, you guys are Sons of Elvis, you guys are playing with us. And he's at the mic, he's Slash, and I walk up and I'm like, hi, I'm Dave. And he says, hi, Dave, I'm Slash. Which he didn't need to do, because a lot of times you meet a really famous person and they don't bother saying their name or anything, because they're like, well, of course you know who I am. Right. And if you want, I'll name every major celebrity that's done that to me. But I was like, this guy is amazing. Like, he is totally just acting like a human being. And he was a very nice guy. And so the whole band was very nice. Gilby Clark told me to go ahead and make a sandwich from the deli tray if I wanted. I had a turkey sandwich. It was amazing. It was the best turkey sandwich I'd ever had.
Gilby was in Slash's band at that time?
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't even know that.
He was, yeah. It was, I want to say James Lomenzo on bass.
Wow.
I think. I might be making that up.
He's fucking great.
Who, Gilby or James?
Both of them.
Yeah. I might be getting that wrong about the bass player. I might be just revisionist history in my brain.
I've shared this story before, and I'm not going to tell the whole thing because this is your time.
No, tell it.
But I almost ruined the Guns N' Roses Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction performance.
Why? Why did you do that?
Because I fucking hate them. Because I was teching for Gilby, at that performance.
Mm-hmm.
And the rehearsal went so well with the backline amp. Sounded so good. We didn't bother checking the backup. And those guys are up there giving their speeches, their induction speeches, or acceptance speeches. And I'm like quietly putting his pedal board out on the floor, and I flip his amp on, and poof, it fucking blows.
Oh, shit.
So we're shuffling around, just like, I've got like 2 minutes to make it all happen. So we get the amp switched over, and I tell him like, hey, this is what happened. And he's super cool. But then I was so flustered in that situation. He went up to play the first song, and his the volume on his tube screamer was all the way down, so no sound came out anyway.
Oh.
It was just like, I mean, at least his guitar was in tune, but everything else that could go wrong, I just botched.
Oh.
And this is like a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
If you watch the performance back now, you can see him at the beginning fussing with some knobs,
They didn't just fix
Yeah.
it in post, have him recut his guitar.
No, they never. They didn't do it. That's what I would have done. Anyway, he's a really nice guy. Those guys are both they're great.
He's from Ohio too, I think.
Is that right?
I think he's originally from Mentor, Ohio. And I think, maybe I'm making this up, but I swear he told me, and I was like, whoa, no way. Because he had all these AC30s. He had like a wall of AC30s, and he's like, only one of them's on. And I was like, what?
Well, if they were vintage, you'd have to have that many as backups.
Yeah.
So you guys did some stuff. You guys were out. You guys were playing shows. You're touring, making moves.
Yeah, we were like one in that sort of post grunge where there was all these bands, and we had like a wild year and a half or a couple of years or whatever, and then
did you guys have that? Did you cut your hair and bleach it?
No.
Did you do that
I
move?
mean,
you didn't do
we
that
had
move.
Standards. No. We weren't monsters.
Yeah.
No, we could recognize truly foolish behavior, so we didn't do that. No, I think some people can pull that off. But no, then it was like our A&R guy changed, which it sounds like and we were like, oh, well, that's supposed to be horrible, but we're the greatest band in the world, so that won't be an issue with us.
Right.
Turned out it was, and we never made our second record. Ended up getting dropped, and there you go.
Did you guys break up after that, or did you guys make another push?
We made like another demo to try to get a new deal, and it just never wasn't to be.
Yeah. So what year is this?
That would have been 96, 97 in there.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Let me back up 2 years, or actually 5 years. What did you go to school for, and did you finish?
I did. I majored in American Studies, which is,
Are you outraged?
am I currently? Well, yes, currently, yes. But no, it was, I wanted to go to art school. I'm really, really digging into I wanted to go to art school to be, like an illustrator, but my parents my dad's alive. My mom is dead. They were super Catholic. So we had to go to Catholic college. Like, that was the rule, which means at the time that there's no way to go to art school. because there was
Right.
no Catholic college that had a real art program. And so I went to, anyway, blah, blah, blah. So I was just like, well, I'm just going to be in a band anyway. So I majored in American Studies because you could kind of like take whatever classes you wanted if you could justify how they fit into the major. So it was just kind of like, college was just kind of like a very expensive band practice, you know?
You built up your alcohol tolerance
Yeah,
and
basically. I mean, yeah, we really did because, I mean, whatever, we were teenagers.
learned how to surf down the stairs on an ironing board.
Yeah, all that, but it's the Bronx, so we were really into like drinking whatever was the drink of choice that week in the Bronx.
Mickey's Hornets?
No, it was like, there was always like a new malt liquor, like that was like in the bodega that week, or like, St. Ides or whatever. We would drink that, or we would just find out like, hey, what's everyone drinking? And then we would, Four Loko, all those things when they came out, we were like, well, we should drink those things. So we drank a lot of malt liquor in school. I'm off malt liquor now, I should say.
It's good.
Yeah, for the best.
It's good.
But we thought it was really cool at the time.
What did you do next?
Like after that band?
Yeah.
Whatever. It started painting houses, and then I got into, I don't think it's as, there was a big, you remember when like it was like decorative, everyone wanted their walls to look like marble or look like a villa in Tuscany. It's like in the 90s.
Textured. You're using sponges and rags and stuff.
Yeah, I started doing that because you could charge a lot more money to do that than just paint someone's house with a roller.
With a roller.
Yeah, so I started doing that, and I was actually really good at that, but I was very bad at cleaning up people's houses. So I would just trash. I cringe when I think of like how much paint I spilled on like people's, carpet and furniture and things like that. Horrible. So I did that, and then I was like, well, I wanted to learn like graphic design, so I started taking some classes doing that, and then through that I was on the computer, and then I started writing more. So I got into writing, and then eventually got into TV writing. So, which is how I ended up in New York.
So this was all in Cleveland you were doing that stuff?
Yeah. And I was, I lived with my parents, and my sister had a house, and I would just kind of like couch surf, but not couch surf, bedroom surf between those two houses.
Depending on who you're getting along best with.
Yeah, I would, I'd be like, I'm living at my sister's house this week, at my parents' house the next,
I know that gag.
Yeah, so I did that.
You say it very casually, but how does one just like get into TV writing?
A friend of mine, my friend Will Tanis, was writing. Well, he was producing a show called Reverb, this show that had bands on. So I started writing. They had like some need for a writer, so he got me that gig, and then
I remember that show.
Yeah, it was a great show, and then so I started doing that, and it was just like emailing in the writing and things like that, and then there was a show called Crash Test on Spike TV, which is no longer a network, I don't think. And that was like in the 2003, and my buddy John Kimbrough, who had a great band called Walt Mink, so he was doing the music for this show, and he was like, "Oh, you should write for this show." So they would have these meetings where they would, let writers come in just and pitch jokes. It was like this hidden camera comedy show, and they would let writers pitch jokes, come in for an hour and get a couple $100 or whatever. So he got me in on these meetings, and I never told them that I didn't live in New York. So like I lived in Cleveland, but they would pay $200 for this meeting. So at the time, probably still now, you could fly on Southwest to New York, like from Cleveland last minute. You could to Islip, Long Island, like way the fuck out. It'd be smarter to fly to Philly, probably. But so I'd fly up, come to these meetings, and then just go home. And I never mentioned that I lived 500 miles away. And then one day they were like, "Can you just work here full time?" So I just never left. I was in New York with a duffel bag, and that's how I moved to New York.
You didn't bring anything.
I had nothing. No, because they were just like, "Can you?"
No orange cabinet.
No orange cabinet. Well, I ended up getting the orange cabinet here, actually from John Kimbrough, who I think got it from Nash Cato, or one of the Overkill guys. So,
how great was that band?
They were a great band. I actually played in a band with Nash.
Great gag too. Like the whole thing, the whole presentation, everything. Super.
Totally. Good. Yeah. It was, I love it. Great. I love that band. And Nash, I had a band with some friends, and it was me, my buddy Phil, my buddy Tomato, and Moby had this band called Diamond Snake. Phil and Moby wanted to form like a hard rock band. Like Moby had just finished one of his records, and he's like, "Let's make this record." So we had this band, and Moby was the guitar player, and I played guitar, and then Moby moved to LA, and then so we got Nash to be in the band. So we played a few shows with Nash, who's a total super nice guy, but an absolute rock star. Like he would just like, I had at the time, I still have one of them. I had two 70s Ibanez Iceman guitars, and I still have one of them. But so he's a big Iceman guy. So he played one of them that I had glued rhinestones that I got from like Pat Catan's or some craft
Paul
store.
Stanley style.
I was like, I'm not buying the Paul Stanley one. It was a bolt. That one was a bolt-on. I have, to be clear for the viewer, I do have a neck through, and I still have that one, Tobacco Burst. But I glued rhinestones onto this other one that he used, and I would just look over, and it's like, man, that guy, and he's got the cool Nash hair, and he's just there. Rock star.
He showed up at our show in Chicago on a motorcycle, parked it right in front of the front door of the venue. It was like the coolest. Like his motorcycle had a sidecar.
Yeah, he's like
he might as well have had a monkey with a scarf,
a monkey with long perfect hair, dressed exactly like him.
Right.
No, yeah, super. He's like genetically a rock star, and super nice fellow.
Some guys have all the luck.
Yeah.
Did you guys? How many shows did that band play?
Not many.
What was it called?
It was called Diamond Snake. We never released anything, though. I think there are like 2 albums worth of music. Somewhere.
It's never too late.
I know. That's what I say. But we played, I don't know, like a dozen shows maybe total.
Yeah.
We opened up for Reverend Horton Heat once, I think.
That's fun.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah, we did. I know I was in a band that did. I just had to think whether it was that band.
Who it was.
But I think it was that band.
But all this time you've got this career that's happening during the daytime, the daylight hours.
Oh, like in comedy? Bless you.
Thank you. Writing and are you doing stand-up already at this point as well?
Yeah, I started that in like 2005. So yeah, I had started doing that because I started writing for TV and then just kind of accidentally started doing stand-up or whatever my version of it. Because my friend Tony Carnevale, I shared an office with him. I was writing on stuff at VH1, and he was like, "Oh, my friend Sean Taylor and I have this show on the Lower East Side at this bar." So I just went and did that, and I'd actually I was writing for a show called Smoking Gun TV. That was kind of like the Daily Show. It was based on the Smoking Gun website, and I was on that show. I did like a few segments, so I'd actually done like a little on-camera stuff before I ever did like performed live comedy. So I started doing that, and then all around the same time, and then it just kind of grew from there. And
would that have been a lot harder if you didn't have the music experience that you had, like just being in front of people and making some videos? And
yeah, I think so.
do you think?
But I think after my first band broke up, we formed another band, and I was reluctantly the singer for that band, and I so I was talking in between songs, and then I realized that I liked talking in between songs as much as I liked playing the songs. So I would just
writing three song set lists.
Yeah, it was like it was like seeing Pantera or something. It's like talking for 20 minutes in between songs. Did you ever see Pantera when like Phil Anselmo would like talk for like they would play like 6 songs, I think. He would talk for the longest time.
I only saw them on the Vulgar Display tour. I saw them on that tour with Skid Row.
Oh wow, I saw them on that tour. I saw them Megadeth, White Zombie, and Pantera. I saw that like
White Zombie was on every package tour back then.
Oh
right?
yeah,
they were unavoidable, but I never saw them.
I saw them a ton of times. On that Los Exorcistas. I say a ton. I probably saw them 4 times total.
Felt like
a ton. 4 times.
Yeah. My zombie weighs a ton.
Nice. Public Enemy.
And yeah. So I think a zombie would be a Public Enemy.
Yes.
So when you have you have a lot going on now. I'm trying to build up to, where you have you're still doing comedy and music, and I have a Dangerous Snakes shirt. But are these other shirts that I'm seeing? Is that your company, or are you designing patterns?
Oh, like the like.
I'm really curious where the fashion part enters your life.
I'm just trying to complicate my life more, but no. Well, what happened was, because I started this clothing line during the pandemic. Because what are you even in a band if you don't eventually have a clothing line? You have to. No, I don't know.
You're thinking, what do the Long Island Rockers? What are they into?
Yeah, no, I don't know. Well, who is it? Paul Weller had a clothing line. Liam Gallagher still has one.
Is that right?
Yeah, Liam Gallagher has a clothing line called Pretty Green. If you want to dress like you're an Oasis, there you go. They're actually good clothes.
What is that, like a collarless button-up shirt? I don't know what that
they do.
is.
They sell that. They have whatever you need. I shouldn't be
Right.
doing a commercial for his clothing line. Paul Weller's clothing line was better, but it's out of business. But I do have a couple suits from that. So when I want to dress like Paul Weller, I'm set.
You could do a lot worse.
I know, well, he's one of the, I mean, him and Charlie Watts, pretty much the two best dressed rockers of all time for my tastes. But wait, well, so yeah, during the pandemic, I started drawing and painting a lot more because my girlfriend and I were back in Ohio for about a year. I came back a little bit for work, but we were there taking care of her mom, and I was in this tiny town in Ohio, and I would go to like the flea market every weekend and buy, saws and hatchets and things, and just started painting them just for no good reason, just for fun. And I painted, this is how I'm going to pull it back to music. My friend Chris Reifert, from Autopsy and death metal legend, Chris Reifert. And we have a band together called Painted Doll. We made a couple records, and we're going to make another one.
I've been on a death trip lately.
Oh, well, there's a good documentary. I'm not done with it.
I watched
the
it.
death one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Chris is in that, and I believe he's in the Autopsy practice room, which is the best / worst practice room. It's the most practice roomy practice room I've ever been in my life. It's in Oakland, and it's like, I think only one light works, and I don't think they've taken the vacuumed or taken anything that's entered the room is not left in about 30 years, as best I can tell. But it's pretty amazing. Anyway, so I painted this saw for his mom for her birthday or for Christmas. I can't remember. And then I was like, oh, this would look cool on clothes. And my friend Corey, she works in fashion. And so I was like, I think this would look cool on clothes. And she's like, oh, let's do it. So she wanted to make women's clothes. So we made like 3 dresses to start. And we've since done like a couple women's robes. And now we have a men's shirt.
That's very nice looking.
Thank you. And and you can go to thebunnyshops.com and get this stuff if you want. And it's fun. I don't know anything about the fashion or clothing industry. Like, I would say we might as well be selling mufflers or something, because I don't know anything about that either. But
so you're creating the fabric pattern is what you're doing, yeah?
I do. I draw it and color it, and
how do you land on the actual fashion design? Do you have a partner in that, or do you have
Corey?
Someone who's...
We kind of talk about it. It's like it's all kind of, we just like, we both like 60s. We basically think like, well, what would Francois Hardy wear, and then we pick like a style of dress, so that's, kind of 60s mod kind of cuts, and that's how we kind of pick something that we like and kind of base it off of that.
Did you consider ever, since this whole thing was inspired by painting saws and you wanted to get into fashion, doing like a floral pattern Blackie Lawless cod piece thing?
That's not a bad idea. I mean, if Blackie's listening, I don't know are his cod piece days behind him? He's like a born again Christian now, right?
Is that right?
I think he is.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's the last stop for every whatever.
80s.
Yeah. I watched, actually, there's a documentary on Chris Holmes called Mean Man.
Yeah.
And I watched it, and it was much better than I expected. I have to say.
What a strange character to be stumbling around the UK.
No, I think he lives in France.
France.
Which is even
right.
weirder.
He's just like yelling at people.
I know, it's all very yeah, I mean, kind of jealous because I would like to live in France. That'd be fun.
Right? Why not?
You know, good food.
What a strange
I don't speak
character,
French,
though.
but I don't think he does either.
I think as long as you start you've been to France.
I have been to France.
If you just start your conversation with, I'm sorry, I don't speak French, then everyone speaks English with you. But if you just start off by saying, hey, can I get one of those crescent rolls?
Yeah.
Then they're just like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, everyone talks about like how the French are mean. I've never experienced that.
Me neither.
That's what I do. I try, or you don't even have to say I don't speak French. What you do, you say bonjour, pronounced the way I just did, and they immediately know you don't speak French. And so, right. And then they start talking to you in English, and you kind of shrug like, "Hey, I tried." But yeah, you must have been you toured over there probably quite a bit, right?
Not a ton, but I've been through, a handful of times.
I read
and been to Paris.
I think I told you because you toured Europe with Loaded a few times, right?
Yeah.
I read both of Duff McKagan's books.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure many people have. But if he's listening, I just want to say, Duff, I really enjoyed those books. I always say, because I pretty much read at least some of every rock book that comes down the pike, and most of them are very bad. But
let me stop you right there. I have two questions for you. One, did you read the Dee Dee Ramone book?
I have not read that. So you've already proven me wrong. I say read everyone. The first one you mentioned. No, I have not read that one. I make a lot of bold statements I can't back up.
It is just as you would expect, crazy.
Now I want to read it. I mean,
I recommend it.
But I thought I always say Duff's. The first one I read, and I think it's one of the best rock books ever. It's real.
Let me tell you something.
What's that?
He actually wrote it.
I know.
It's his actual voice. He wrote it. He wrote it on tour and at home, and yeah, I have a rough draft manuscript. I'm sitting on that. It'll end up on eBay someday. But most of these books that people put out are, they sit down and talk to someone for a long, sit down and talk to someone for a long time, and then someone writes their story, right?
Yeah. No, you can tell. I know that. Well, Duff's a smart guy, obviously, and a great writer, and so I knew he wrote it, and you can tell. It's just like it's a great. I really like the way he writes so much that the second book, I was just like, I don't care what this guy's talking about. I want to read it. So I really enjoyed it. So Duff, if you're listening, there you go.
He was very thoughtful about the pace, the arc of his storytelling style. Even like when, we talked about it, where he's like, when things get chaotic, I want to write a little more chaotically, and like I want it to, almost feel like there's background music that creates tension in the writing style.
Yeah, and I thought it was great. The first book, how he kind of leapfrogs back and forth between like origin story and peak Guns N' Roses insanity. He kind of goes.
Can you even imagine being 20 something and having those just that life.
It's bonkers. I mean, even thinking about it, I feel ill. Like some of his descriptions of his intake of things, I'm just like, oh.
I don't think I would have survived.
It sounds like he almost didn't. But
Yeah.
I actually have an invitation, like in the envelope, to his wedding. I was not. Let me be clear. I was not invited to his wedding.
You bought it on eBay. You're a super fan.
No.
Is that how I scored you for this?
No. It's the weirdest thing. Like, it's the wedding. It's the invitation sent to Mark Lanigan. From Screaming Trees.
Yeah, I know
and
Mark.
Stuff. Yeah, he must be a buddy of yours. And so
one of the greatest moments of my life was getting to play on stage with him.
Oh, nice.
God,
yeah, he's amazing.
Hear his voice come through the monitors is like hearing the voice of God.
I know. He's got like, some people are born with like it's like not, it's a different thing,
Did you read his book?
I have his book. I've not read it yet, but I do. It's
vicious.
I've read some of it. I need to get.
It's vicious.
What's that?
It's vicious.
Oh, like it's mean?
It's just like
he pulls no punches.
He doesn't pull no punches pulled.
Maybe I'll dig into that today.
That's what I recommend.
But no, but I guess something happened where like all of his, I don't know if it's like something somehow, like all his journals, all of his shit, the kind of stuff that people have like in boxes under their bed or whatever, somehow wound up for sale was auctioned somewhere. And my friend Carl bought it, and he's a huge fan, and he got a hold, I believe this is how, or at least he tried, I think he did in the end. I think he sent it all back to Mark, with the exception of the wedding invitation that he gave to me. So it's, I think
it's funny. He mentions going to the wedding in the very end of the book.
It's, I mean, I think I know it's somewhere in this next room here. But I think it's addressed to Mark Lanigan, and I think maybe he was living at Duff's house at the time, because it's
his own address.
It's sent like the return address is the same as the sender address.
That's amazing.
I think that's the case.
Mark was living at the LA house. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's the case. And a very nice invitation, as you would imagine. Some people skimp on the envelope. Not the case.
I would hope so.
All top shelf.
I like
well
nice
done.
Things.
Another my compliments again to Duff.
Classy. What is your favorite rock book?
I think the Keith Richards one is the best one.
Oh, it's fucking delightful.
I think that one is like literature, pretty much. Like, it's just great.
Because he's the best.
He's the best, and I read it under the best conditions possible. I was on tour in Europe. I was playing guitar. My friend Walter Schreifels, who, from Quicksand and Gorilla Biscuits.
Legend.
Yeah, he had a solo band, and it was me and Walter and Arthur from Gorilla Biscuits, and Civ, Drew from Into Another, and Bold, and John Hergith on keys. And we were driving around, we were on tour in a Sprinter van, and we would be listening to the Stones all day. And then while I was reading the book, like coincidentally, and then we would go play a show or wherever, Hamburg that night or something. And I would be like, oh, I'm reading about Keith Richards all day. And then I'm pretending to be Keith Richards for an hour every night.
Did you find yourself feeling like you were possessed by the spirit of Keith?
I think so. I probably, probably had a little more swagger in my playing.
For a while on tour, I watched The Kids Are All Right every night before going on stage, which I also recommend.
That's awesome. Have you ever watched what's it called? The Rock and Roll Circus?
It's great.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that.
Did you watch Get Back?
I'm embarrassed to say this. I just started it last night.
Really?
When I know, like, everyone been asking me for weeks now, have I watched it? And I tried to watch it, but I couldn't figure out how to I couldn't figure out how to get the Disney Plus on the TV because my girlfriend's email is in there somehow. I couldn't figure it out. And so finally last night I decided to just watch it on my laptop and pay for it. So I'm currently watching it.
Did you make it all the way through the first episode, which is like what, 2.5 hours long or something?
I think I'm halfway through that. I was kind of drifting off, not out of boredom, just drinking wine and watching it. And so I turned it off and I put on King Diamond at Grass Pop because I felt like that was like something that didn't require my attention, but it could just be on and I could kind of pay attention intermittently to it.
One of my 2022 goals is to get Andy on the podcast.
I love him.
I just got his email address.
Oh, nice.
He's so amazing. Speaking of death.
Wait, he played... What did he play?
He played on a record. He didn't tour anything, but he played guitar on a record.
He did? I didn't realize that. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah,
isn't that amazing?
He's great.
What's your impression of Get Back so far? It's fucking remarkably unremarkable. Like it's just like any other practice, except that they're getting served tea and they're very polite. And
yeah, it's interesting. You know, people have been like, "You have to watch it. It's the greatest thing that's ever happened." But yeah, I'm like, well, yeah, this seems like band practice. But you're watching, you know, one of the greatest bands of all time, and then you know, at various points, I'm like, I could see myself being in this band. I probably
right. Well, the thing is, it's so casual that it gives you that false impression.
Yeah, you're like,
right?
I probably could have pulled up a chair and been a real asset to this process.
Because it is so common and so normal. Mm-hmm. Because all the song forms that they're, you know, introducing throughout, and you'll see it happen more and more. It's just really casual and natural and very familiar.
Yeah. You know what?
We've all been in a band where we've sat around and done more talking and farting around than actually getting stuff done.
Yeah.
Except for you, because you were very serious as a
very serious teen. But you know what's? I think it's really instructive though to all things, because you know you think like, well, the Beatles is just like 4 geniuses, maybe 3. No, 4. I'm sticking with 4. I can't believe I just took a shot at one of the Beatles,
at Paul
like that. But you watch it and you're like, oh, this because you go like, oh, they're just a bunch of geniuses being geniuses, and then you watch it and you're like, oh, they're just 4 people working really hard to make something good, which is what you have to do with everything in life. It's just work hard, do a good job.
I listened to a conversation with Peter Jackson, and he said that at no point in any of the stuff, even the stuff that didn't make the cut, and it's hard to imagine there being stuff that didn't make the cut because it's such an epic bit of stuff. Never once, even when they were disagreeing, did any of them cuss at each other.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't that's not familiar to me. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh my God, yeah. At that age, I mean, how old would they have been? They would have been like,
they're like 26.
I would have, it was like
27.
I was still fully in like
Throwing
throwing
punches.
instruments across the room mode at that age.
But let me ask you this. You saw Some Kind of Monster, right? How many times you see Some Kind of Monster?
I've only seen that once.
Really?
I remember I saw it in the theater. I like woke
same.
up I was living in New York already, and I just woke up and went and saw it. And it's obviously portrait of a great band at their lowest point, probably. Is that fair to say?
I would call it Metallica's bravest public moment.
Well,
it's braver than omitting the bass from And Justice.
Yeah, I mean, though I have to say, like, it made me still, even though you're like, oh, this is horrible in many ways, it made me want to rock. You just go like, I want to rock. They're still rocking. Granted, they made the worst album of their career. It's documenting that. And it's cool, seeing like the bass auditions.
It is super
Pepper
cool,
Keenan,
right? Yeah.
Coming down. I know I'm friends with Pepper, and I've never asked him what goes through your head when you're like sitting there and you're like, if this works out, I'm fucking loaded. If it doesn't work out, I'm probably fine. I'm sure he's fine.
Business as usual.
Business as usual. But like, if this goes my way, it's like buying a scratcher.
A lottery ticket. It's like a raffle ticket. Probably less like a lottery ticket and more like a raffle ticket.
Yeah.
Like, there's only 50 tickets.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to go like, oh.
And some of them are courtesy tickets. They don't actually have numbers on them.
Yeah, but man. Anyway, but yeah, I did. But yeah, I like that movie.
I would encourage you to try to recall. Oh no.
What happened?
It's not noon. Well, that's a fire call. Hopefully it's not. I can't see my phone because I'm using it as a camera. I'm a volunteer firefighter up here.
You're going.
Hey.
Oh my gosh.
So the alarm I can hear from the fire hall to my house. So hopefully it's power lines down or something.
This is, if this is your way of just trying to get out of talking to me. This
I'm having a delightful time.
An elaborate ruse.
Thank you. Yeah. This is the way to pitch, hey, cut me in on this writing stuff. So what I would encourage you to do as you watch the Beatles sing is to recall Some Kind of Monster, because you'll see all of the familiar personality types.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see it all. And it's pretty incredible. Mostly you'll see the frustration parallels with a lead guitarist who doesn't ever really get to do what they want to do, or
mm-hmm.
I think I would have quit the Beatles too if I was George at that point. I've talked about this a lot, but
quitting the Beatles.
No, well, they're not playing shows.
This is true.
At this point. What's his incentive?
He's got a little money squirreled away.
He's doing fine. They're not playing shows. All they do is make records, and he only gets a song on each record.
Mm-hmm.
And then otherwise, he's just doing what Paul kind of tells him to do. That sounds terrible. He made the best post-Beatles solo debut, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Great record. I don't know, but it'd be at least probably be harder to be, I don't know, not harder to be Kirk Hammett, but it seems like at least initially the first bunch of records he got to do a lot less. Didn't he only get to do the solos?
I think on the first record, yeah, they maybe even some of them were with Dave, right?
I don't know, but I thought I read that like James plays all the guitar, had been for the
Oh,
the first bunch of records. He played everything but the
on the
guitar solos.
recordings. Wow.
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I shouldn't be speaking on behalf of Metallica. I'm
doesn't
speaking
that
on
seem
behalf of
kind of
so many people.
luxurious?
What?
Like there's the creative outlet sort of part, but then there's also the like, I just come in and shred.
Yeah. It's pretty sweet.
I come in to showcase the shred.
Yeah. I mean, it would be pretty sweet. He's got a good job. It's a good job.
That's a good gig.
Yeah.
He's leveraged it into buying Peter Green's Les Paul.
I was just going to say,
Fuck.
is there a greater example? I don't know what greater example there is of just pure balls of walking on stage with $1 million guitar. Like, oh yeah, bring that one out.
He fucking tours that thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think Joe Bonamassa does that too, though. Like he tours with like crazy shit like that.
My buddy Keith toured his 59. Toured it. He let me play it.
Wow. Wait, Keith.
Like had a sound check.
Who's Keith?
Keith Nelson. He's in that. He was in Buck Cherry. He's not in Buck Cherry
yeah,
anymore.
I met him before. He's a nice guy.
Great guy.
I interviewed him
friend.
once.
Oh, really?
I did. Like Cinemax had sent me to like Rock on the Range in Columbus, Ohio in like 2007, I think. And I interviewed a bunch of bands, and it was like I interviewed him and this singer guy. I did not meet Korn, I don't think. I met Slipknot.
They were probably there.
I met a couple of the Slipknot guys. They were very nice fellows.
Uh-huh.
And I'll say this about Slipknot. I don't listen to Slipknot. And that's not me being disparaging. But aside from them being very nice, smart guys, I was really struck by they smell really good, which you wouldn't expect. Because they were in their Slipknot outfits and they had the masks on and everything. Because it was on camera. And I was like, you think that they're going to smell really bad. They'd smell totally good.
They probably have a wardrobe person that sort of hoses everything down with Axe body spray.
Yeah, whatever they were doing, keep it up.
Do you know who smells pretty good? Who you really wouldn't expect?
Who's that?
Vince Neil.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
I as you say that though, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to find out one way or another. I've never met
just
him.
Take my word for
and
it.
I don't intend to. I have nothing against him.
No.
I just feel like let's stay the course. I've met Tommy Lee and Mick Mars before.
How fucking great is Mick Mars though?
He was awesome. Both those guys, Tommy Lee picked my nose. This was at the same thing, at this Rock on the Range. That's when I met them. I interviewed them. And Tommy Lee, at one point, we were just sitting there, and he just picked my nose for no reason.
Do you think did you have a bat in the
cave?
That's
what I asked
something?
him. I was like, why did you do that? I wasn't mad, I was just like, that's an odd thing to do.
Got a hanger?
Yeah, I was like, did I have a booger? Were you like just helping me? He's like, no, I just felt like doing it.
No, bro, this is just how I party.
And I was like, all right, okay.
Yeah. Let's talk before we exceed 2 hours. Let's talk about your comedy show.
Okay.
Your special.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, The Pride of Cleveland, it's called. And it just finally came out. It's been out on various platforms, but now it's out for free on YouTube on the 800 Pound Gorilla Records YouTube channel, so everyone can watch it. That's my label that I'm on. And so yeah, it's recorded here in New York, and it's an hour of me telling my humor jokes. But I do it with a live backing band.
Are there non-humor jokes?
I think there are a lot of them. I mean, most of them, arguably, most of them miss the mark. I'm talking about in the grant of all people. But no, the show, I have a live backing band. So I do stand up, but then some of it's with a band sort of vamping behind me. Just an excuse for me to berate the band and rip some guitar solos
Shred.
while I'm at it. Because that's my favorite thing to do.
Showcase the shred.
What's that?
Showcase the shred.
Yeah, because this is what I learned, like there's really not, unless you're, in a full shred situation, it's really not that appropriate to just shred. But if you do it in the context of a comedy show, bring it on. Because I sort of learned people, it's really funny when you start tapping for no reason.
Let me ask you this, like in sort of like the Top Gun, shred showcase, I would expect that you would have reached for some sort of Hot Rod Floyd Rose equipped guitar, but you went classy.
I did, yeah. I do have I don't know, like I'll tell you my shred arsenal. I have a Jackson Soloist. I have a Dean Razor Bolt that I bought while drunk.
Good.
Not that
Was
I'm
it like drunk shopping at night or drunk stumbling into a pawn
just
shop?
on Reverb. I think I just needed a couple drinks to pull the trigger. Because it's like taller than I am. I'm pretty tall. So, but it's a great guitar. And I just got another. I'm going to pick it up today, actually. I got another Delaney Guitars in Texas, a great guitar company, a small company. Got a hold of some Dean custom shop, like razor back bodies. So USA, Dean makes these USA like $4,000 guitars. And so he got a whole, it's just, the body and neck and fretted and all that. And he finished it, and he's like, you can do whatever you want. And so I had him glue, do you know toile fabric?
No, what
It's
is
like,
it?
you know it if you saw it. Has sort of like idyllic, like French people from the 19th century having a picnic in the woods, and then there's like foliage. It's this fabric, but like someone's, your aunt probably has it as curtains or something. And
Is
so
it sort of impressionistic or
no, it's sort
impressionist style, or
no, it's
more
just
realist?
Google it, TOILE. When you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I totally know what that is. So I had him glue that to the top of the guitar and the headstock, and it's totally the most ridiculous guitar in existence, and it's an absolute beast. But I wanted to change it a little bit, so having it worked.
Does it have a Floyd?
It, of course, yeah. It has an original Floyd from the '80s, and then it has awesome Delaney guitars pickups, and then but I don't even know that. I think I'm gonna take it on tour with Puddle's Pity Party. We go back on tour next week, so I think I'm gonna take it. Hopefully, if I can get it on the plane. It's pretty large, but
unpopular opinion. I like the Dean V's maybe more than Gibson's. I like the headstock. I like it all. I like it.
The Dean V's are amazing. That's how I ended up getting a Dean. I'm doing all these commercials for my own products and then for random products. But do you know Thor, the muscle metal Canadian guy?
Yeah.
So Thor, I forget what year this was. A handful of years ago. There was the movie I Am Thor.
I haven't seen it yet.
You should watch it. Get on it.
I will.
And if you don't have to put out a fire today, go watch I Am Thor. So they were screen at Phil Anselmo had that the Housecore Horror Film Festival he did for a few years. So they were screening the movie there, and then Thor was going to be there. So Phil asked me, he's like, I'm going to put a band together for Thor so he can play a show. Do you want to be the guitar player? And I was like, fuck yeah. So I go down there and
start working out.
So it was Scott Shelby, who plays guitar in was playing guitar in War Beast, and so he was playing bass, and then Jimmy Bauer from Down was on drums, and then Blue Gonzalez, who plays with Phil in his solo band, The Illegals. They switched off. We played like 8 songs, I think. So I go down there and practice with Thor, who's like the nicest guy. He's not super ripped anymore. He's like in his 60s, so he's got like what happens when you're super ripped and then you get older. He's
still big
guy, but not So we practice, and then like we go over. It was like a movie. It was like a whole other movie. We go to the venue. Like I'm walking out of the hotel, and Thor has like his bag of, helmets and hammers and stuff. And he's like, "Hey, he's like, do you mind if I walk with you over to the venue?" I'm like, "Of course, we're doing this together." They're like the nicest guy.
Sorry, no Norse gods allowed.
Yeah, I'm like, whatever. Like, no, you cannot walk with me. So we go over. We walk to this venue. I can't remember what it's called. And we go in there, and like, they're busy. There's a festival going on. There's bands playing, and they're kind of just like not really being too hospitable to us. And like, we're just trying to like.
You mean to tell me that everyone doesn't treat bands like they are the most important?
Exactly. This is a shocker of music. No, so yeah, they're treating us like a band. And so finally I have to get a bar time. I'm like, where can we go to get dressed and all that? We have, loincloths to put on and things. And so we go down in this basement, and Larry Holmes, not the boxer, but my friend Larry, who works with Warbeast, he brought me a leather vest to wear for the show. And then Scott Shelby had brought me like gauntlets and things. There's videos of this on YouTube. And we go down there, and Scott's friend, I can't remember his name. So Scott wisely he's very ripped, and he oils up. He puts like baby oil all over himself, so he's glistening.
Is it outdoors?
No, it was in this club at night. And so we're down there, and I'm like, no one's there. And I'm like, oh man, this is such a bummer. No one's going to be here to see Thor. Like, and then, so they oil me up, which is a real treat. Only time I've ever oiled up to do anything, really. And then we go up there, and the place is packed, and everyone from every band at the festival is like up front, the side of the stage, everyone. And it was like triumphant moment, and such a great show, and it was so much fun. Everyone was like, that was the best show of the festival, because the vibe was just so amazing.
What a treat.
And so bringing it back to Dean, the quality Dean brand. So Scott loaned me he has a bunch of Deans, and he loaned me a V that he has. And I was like, man, this is like a sports car. And I had no shredder guitars in my arsenal at the time. So I was like, I got to get one of these. So I was eyeballing it for a while. And then finally, like, I asked my girlfriend, I was like, should I buy this thing? She's like, you look at that every night on Reverb. So I finally bought one. So there's
I look at them often.
You just have to have a couple beers or whatever you need to like push yourself over the edge, and just get one.
I'll probably buy one on an ayahuasca trip or some hipster bullshit
Yeah,
like that.
do whatever it takes.
Yeah,
You know, too much espresso, whatever you need.
anything.
But they're very fun, and you look really cool. You can't not look really cool. I have
They're
been.
giant.
I have lately been taking the Jackson soloists to do comedy shows because, yeah, you get the Floyd Rose. So
There's a lot of opportunity for effect.
yeah, well, it's funny. Like I I have like I'm always like switching. I have like a rock pedal board, and then I have a comedy show pedal board, and then you can like there's a lot of pedals I have that are really good. Like Paul Gilbert has this. It's called like the airplane flanger. It's an amazing
Yeah.
flanger pedal, and it's like as big as a toaster, and so one part of it is a great flanger pedal, but then he has this there's another button on it that just like loops like a boo, and you can change the speed, and so it kind of like you can turn it on and it's like a fake dive bomb. It's pretty amazing. That's a good comedy pedal.
Do you ever do the Steve Vai laughing gag if a joke falls flat?
I would never need to do that. Why? I wouldn't need to do that.
I'm sorry to suggest such a thing.
Where you go like wah, 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 wah.
Yeah,
No, if that happened, then
that'd be a pretty good move.
you just put on the airplane flanger,
Yeah.
and then what's another? There's like Earthquaker Devices has the Rainbow Machine pedal. That's a good comedy pedal. Or the Data Corruptor. They're both awesome. All these are awesome pedals for serious,
Right.
very serious usage as well. I should be clear.
Serious music.
But on the right setting, they can be great for comedy shows as well.
Nice. What? So you guys are gonna go out and do more puddles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do like a 20-minute stand-up set, and then I join him. I'm sort of his Flavor Flav for his set, and then
Your hype man.
and then yeah, and then I play some guitar with him as well.
Have you done a tour like that before where are there any bands that exist where everyone is a comedian, like actual comedian? Like there are plenty of bands where people think they're comedians.
Well, I don't know. Let me think. I mean, yeah. Well, yeah. There's various. Yeah. There's also. I mean, a lot of comedians are rock out.
But I mean, a whole band. It seems like almost like the obvious evolution where a lot of rock bands. I think it started in the '90s, even where the opener would be a comedian and not a rock band, right?
Well, Frank Sinatra did it all the time. Don Rickles used to open for him.
Oh, right.
And then I love doing it. I've opened for Quicksand. I've opened for Down. I've opened for Ryan Adams. I've opened for Snoop Dogg, Broken Social Scene.
When you opened for Down, was it hard at the end of the show when they played Buried in Smoke to play all the instruments yourself?
No, I just I just come out and grab Pepper's guitar. But no, I will suggest
this is a great opportunity for me to tell you a story.
Oh, good.
That you'll like. Duff is a very tall guy. He's very tall.
Yeah, I've never met him.
He's 6'4". Oh,
wow.
We toured with Down.
Oh, nice.
And at the first night, wherever we are, we're all watching from the side of the stage, and they hit that last song, and the stage is just all the smoke, and then, they just start handing over the instruments to us to play the riff, and then they just shoot. They basically shoot beer on the crowd like they're the Insane Clown Posse or something, and sort of like do a celebratory, pass around the stage, and we finish the song.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes on for fucking ever. And this is a time-honored tradition of theirs. It's not like we were special.
I've played that song with them many times.
So it's it's a great riff.
Yeah, totally.
It's awesome. It's amazing. So first night, Duff gets Pepper's guitar, which is also, by the way, he plays that hollow body, and it's just like so loud and crushing, and it'll just, if you're not careful, it just feeds back, it flies away crazy. I get what was dude's name?
Kirk?
God. I get Kirk's guitar. Now Kirk is he plays his guitar not super low, and he's very short.
He's a tiny little fella. All those guys are
slight.
Phil is really, well, Pepper's reasonably high. He's not super short, but the other guys are, and Phil's tall, but the other guys are all little fellas.
Yeah. So I get his guitar, and it's like a necklace. It's up high. So I start hatching and it's not humiliating, but it's it just feels really uncomfortable,
Yeah.
So I immediately start hatching the plan to make it so that at some point on the tour, Duff has to wear that, because it will look really funny on him.
Hilarious.
I eventually got it to happen. I eventually made it happen. And that guitar it doesn't look like a guitar on him. It looks, it looks like a crop top.
Like an Explorer, like under his neck?
Oh, it was an ESP, like SG thing, crop top.
Oh, wait. So where with Loaded you toured with Down?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wait, was Ghost on that? Did you guys do a tour with Ghost?
No, Ghost was kind of just breaking at that time. Phil introduced me to Ghost. That's how I even sort of heard about him.
That's how I think I heard about them.
He was out waving the flag for sure.
He was, and but I remember seeing like Duff talking about them or wearing a shirt or something, and that first record, like, the thing is, I heard that record before I ever saw them, and I loved the record, and then I saw what they looked like, and I was like, oh man, I'm in. And then
I think it's still great too.
I think it's,
even though they lost the Blue Oyster Cult vibe.
Yeah, I think I really dig them. The only thing I'll say is obviously they use like taped vocals or whatever, but it's too good. It's so well performed. There's never a feeling that it's ever going to go off the rails, ever.
It doesn't feel dangerous.
Yeah, like you're like, oh, this sounds exactly like the record, and I don't think that anything's. I like when you think it could go wrong.
I think that the idea from very early on was for it to be theatrical rather than dangerous rock show.
I say that just I love that band. That's not me complaining, though clearly I am complaining. I'm just saying, like, I'm paying it a compliment. It's so good that that you're just like, oh man, this is it. But yeah, and it's really funny, which is like as like someone who went to Catholic school from kindergarten through college to, like, it's basically they just took Catholicism and turned it upside down. Like let's make everything about Satan. So it's
kind of only in that regard. Everything else only took a 90-degree turn, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they still got like the I haven't.
All the imagery is the same. Catholicism is scary.
It is, I mean, you said a mouthful. many ways it's scary. From every angle it's scary.
Yeah,
But the
it's
the best
terrifying.
architecture, free donuts. So there's that. Not all bad.
Free biscuits.
Though the Pope the other day said that people that have pets instead of children are selfish, and like it took a shot basically at me. I took it as a direct hit.
At me also.
So fuck that guy. As if there's just one. I was upset about many things with the Catholic Church, but when he lashed out at pet owners, you can fuck right off. Misogyny,
of all the atrocities,
homophobia,
of all the atrocities.
Well, yeah, misogyny, homophobia, child rape, where the list goes on and on. But then you're gonna take a shot at pets? Fuck off.
Christ taught us forgiveness, but this is where I draw a line in the sand.
It's untenable.
I mean, look at this.
Yeah, look at that sweetie. Who's that?
This is Mr. Big is cuter than any child.
Your dog is named after the band Mr. Big?
Mr. Big. Isn't he huge?
He is.
He thinks he's very big.
I'm a huge Paul Gilbert fan, by the way, so I realized you didn't name him after the band Mr. Big, but if you had, I would have been like, cool, I love Paul Gilbert.
Well, he was a rescue, and he came to us named Biggie.
Oh, okay.
And I named him Mr. Big. I call him Mr. Big because it's more distinguished.
It is. It has a sophistication.
Yeah.
Biggie, that's more like Mr. You can call him that at like barbecues and things like that.
That's right.
Informal affairs.
Out on strolls. Yeah. What do you have planned for this year beyond these dates with Puddles?
Oh, I mean, that's a good question because stuff's already being canceled again.
Right.
But more shows, and then I'm writing a new book. It's my 4th book, not to brag. Catch up, Duff. No, but I'm writing. The new book is about hockey loosely, so I'm gonna go, around the world, and I'm supposed to go to Poland next month, and then
to talk to people about hockey, to do the hockey research.
Well, I'm like trying to go and like kind of experience hockey, and like I went and practiced with my old high school team, like the current kids that are on the team, as a middle-aged man trying to keep up.
How did that feel?
It was
2 days later.
It was humbling, as they say, but it was fun. And then I did that over Thanksgiving, but my sister-in-law, her cousin's kid is a pro hockey player in Poland, so I'm gonna go hang out with him and see him play. And then there's a team in Nairobi. I'm gonna go to Nairobi and skate with those guys.
What?
Yeah, it's nuts. They're called the Kenya Ice Lions.
That's one of my bucket list places to visit.
Yeah, I've never been to Africa at all, so this will be my first time.
Oh, that's incredible. I'm very jealous.
Yeah.
I hope you have the best time.
Yeah, I'm psyched.
And to visit with someone, someone that lives locally and can sort of like guide you around will be a treat.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So hopefully it's coming together, and supposed to do that.
So this is a work of nonfiction, or are you just diving way deep in order to write fiction?
It's nonfiction. So it'll be like just me. I'm still figuring out what it's going to be, but part of it will, I'll go take some adventures and see what happens, So that'll be cool. And so I'm doing that, and then probably, making make some new music and write some new jokes and hopefully design some more clothes.
Will Pride of Cleveland have an audio release? Does it have an
Yeah,
audio
yeah.
release?
The audio release came out 2 years in like a year and a half ago in 2020. I released 3 albums in 2020 at the height of the pandemic. Cause not real.
Why did you have some extra time on your hands?
Well, they were all I had a little extra time, but they were all in the can, as they say. But yeah, in 2020 I had Pride of Cleveland came out, the audio version, and then my band Valley Lodge released a record on TP Records, and then my band Painted Doll had a record come out on TP as well. So
that's a lot of releases.
Yeah, well, they were all just done, so unleash them, and so probably do some more rocking. But do you find this? I find like that among the many negative things about the pandemic, creatively, it was not. I mean, I guess it was good in some ways, but
I'm a platinum lining guy. I don't even bother with silver lining.
It was not. It wasn't very. It hasn't been very inspiring. The pandemic hasn't made me really come up with all sorts of great ideas.
It's hard to make jokes about death.
Yeah.
It's a tough sell.
Especially, I mean, consciously, I didn't really think this, but I think there's a part of me that thought I would never be on stage again or see my friends ever again. So
sure,
the idea of performing or being in a room with your friends making music, I was just like, I guess that'll never happen. So
yeah, but it will, or we'll die.
I finally caught COVID, not to brag.
Sounds like a brag to me.
I caught it. I finally got it. I'm over it now. I mean, I'm vaccinated and boosted, and I
couldn't take you down because you're such a badass.
I'm a badass. No, by the time I got it, I had 3 blasts of Pfizer, and so I was just kind of mildly sick for a couple days, and then felt like I had jet lag for a week after.
I just thought about the old Kiss credits where it's like Dave Hill uses Pfizer vaccination because he wants the best.
I want the best.
So more music, more jokes, more books.
Yeah, just more of the same crap. And then working on a movie and hopefully some more acting. I get to act a few times a year and stuff, so hopefully I'll do more of that. If the president of show business is listening, let me know. I would like to do some more. So yeah, but mostly I just want to hang out with my dog and my girlfriend and my dog, honestly.
What kind of dog do you have?
She is a boxer pit bull hellhound. Sort of probably.
Your dog's a Protestant, not a Catholic.
Basically, she's not here right now. They're back in Ohio because I'm going on tour in a couple days. But yeah, that's my favorite thing to do. I mean, I just go to the dog run every day with her, drink some coffee, and that's my sweet spot. Everything else is just shit I have to do.
Right. Well, when and if you guys come back through Albany, I will not miss.
Oh, we'll be there. We'll be. That show was one of the best shows, actually.
Oh,
not to rub it in, but it was at this place, The Egg.
It's such a weird place.
It is. It seems like you're gonna it seems like there's going to be like
a space station,
a landmark forum or something, or like some real estate scam.
Right?
It's a weird, but it's cool. It was super fun, and yeah, that was one of the best shows of that run. And then we go.
I've seen great shows in that room.
Yeah, it's cool. So yeah, we'll be back. I don't think I went outside in Albany that I remember. I think I went
You just
into the
were
egg
right in.
and I never left.
It's kind of a weird town. Capital cities are weird, right?
Yeah,
Except for Austin.
except for Austin. Well, I don't know. I didn't come here to talk shit about Austin, but I will. I think Austin is overrated.
Yeah, do you think it's a watered down Portland?
I think Austin is Akron with tacos. Pretty much. I've had many wonderful times there. I have many dear friends there. It's good if you go out away from the city to like people's houses. I love it. But the city itself is just kind of like whatever. Too many guys playing strats in open bar windows. I know that's only the one street that has that.
I don't even like Stratocasters. Don't even get me started.
Me neither. I mean, I borrowed. I was always kind of like not like I'm not a Strat guy, and then my friend Jason Narducci loaned me his Strat. I was doing a show, and he loaned me it, and I was like, "This is pretty cool." And then I took a picture. The most important thing with any guitar is to make sure you look cool with it on. If you don't, you shouldn't ever play it.
Forget it.
Not even in the studio. And
right.
I was like, oh, I look pretty cool with this. Nick Cave plays the Strat. I mean, many people play Strats, but Nick Cave plays the Strat.
I've never seen Nick Cave play a guitar.
He does. He plays a black Strat.
Well, yeah, a guy like him doesn't play a Lake Placid blue guitar.
But so, I mean, that's the height of cool. I can't really think of anyone. There's many Strat players, but Nick Cave with a black Strat, that's as cool as the Strat's ever going to look. But
wait a minute, cooler than Eric Clapton?
Oh, fuck that guy. I mean, fuck him already. Fuck him anyway. But fuck him a million, and he's kind of like, what a fucking way to go out. Be like, in the last. The winner of my life, I'm going to just make it very clear I'm a fucking idiot.
I saw a friend of mine made a post that said, I'm starting to think maybe Clapton's kid jumped.
Oh my god, that's I did not say that.
Really harsh. No,
I feel bad.
I said it out loud. I just repeated it.
No, I know. I shouldn't say anything mean about anybody, but if I were to say mean things about people playing Strats, he would be my first go-to guy. But I think, obviously it was over long before, that.
Anyway, Peter Green's way better.
Oh, yeah. Wait, he played a Strat?
Peter Green wouldn't fuck around with a Strat because he's got class. He played a 59 that ended up with
that's the only
Kirk
one
Hammett.
I know of. And then... But, I did buy a Strat during the pandemic, and then I sold it. You'll like this.
Jimi Hendrix and Rory Gallagher.
Oh, those are, yeah. I don't know why I was, struggling to think of cool guys who played Strats. But, yeah, those are good. But I bought a BC Rich Mockingbird, and I bought a Strat during the pandemic.
I really, really, really want a Mockingbird bass.
Oh, that's, yeah.
I don't really have an application for it, but I know in my heart that if I get it, if I build it, it will come.
Yeah, the right place will. I will say though, I'm embarrassed to admit this. I sold the Mockingbird already.
Was it what era?
It was an 80s Japanese.
Three on a side, or the sort of
three on a side. It was neck through, like 82, but somewhere along the way it didn't have like all the mini switches and all that. So someone wanted it to look like it did, so they installed dummy controls.
You didn't. I'm the kind of dummy that would have figured out some sort of impractical usage of those. So I would have put like some kind of Ace Frehley smoke show that I could control with
That'd
those.
be amazing. No,
And maybe some LEDs. Dogs, cut it out. Come here. Come here, you freeloaders. Come here.
oh,
I really love my dogs.
I ended up no, I took it to my friend Jay Powar, who has a great company, Powar Guitars, but he fixed it up, and he was maybe going to try to add some detonators and things, but he didn't. But it just wasn't like it just. I realized I had it, and I was like, this is never going to be on the A team, so I ditched it.
Right.
Had to get. When you live in New York, you can only have so many guitars cases around before you're an abusive boyfriend.
I live up in the Hudson Valley now, and it's still a problem. Having guitars isn't as much a problem as having guitar cases.
Oh yeah, my whole apartment is like there's a case under everything.
You could build a coffee table out of guitar cases. Your girlfriend would love that.
That's grounds for that's domestic abuse. I even try to only have one guitar out in view.
Yeah. I've got two in the living room.
I think two is reasonable, but you don't want to have your living room look like Guitar Center. If you're a gentleman,
which you clearly are.
I was reading someone was talking about they went to Keith Richards' house, and he had his guitar valet here, I'll bring out a couple guitars, and just some classy, they just here you go, they keep them away, and then they're here you go, here's the greatest telly and the greatest whatever else. Bring it, like a cup of tea or something.
But they're all 5-string guitars, and they are tuned to open G. So I hope that you can get around on this.
I don't know. I'd be lost.
Enjoy.
I could play play the intro to start me up.
Why not?
Yeah.
I feel like this is a great place, and also we've been going for a long time, and I had coffee, but I haven't been able to do any of my private things.
Right. Yeah. So the things that come on the back end of coffee.
I've got some hygienic things to tend to.
No, I'm the same way. Though not to brag, but I've adjusted my diet that I can just come out swinging right away.
That's good.
Yeah.
You should write a health book.
It's one sentence. Fiber. It's not even sentence. It's a word. Psyllium. Get psyllium husks, everybody.
Yeah. Do you put that into your water?
Yeah. I mean, if you have that, it's like a bulldozer for your intestines. Whatever.
It can make a stomach ache, though.
What's that?
Do you get a stomach ache?
No, I mean, you have to get in a rhythm with it, because initially, it just kind of takes a couple days to really kick in. I started taking it, I was off it, and then I was back on it, and then I was supposed to do a show. And I was like, I can't do this show because I'm a time bomb. This could come at any moment. And I can't leave the house until it's my time to shine, So.
And you can't shine if you're carrying around a burden.
No. You should be, you want to be.
Should have your sins lifted.
Yeah. You can't be carrying a load on stage.
Keith Richards has the greatest guitar quote of all time.
I would hope so.
And I think you'll agree. It's the one that says, all it takes to play guitar is 3 strings, 2 fingers, and 1 asshole. It's pretty great,
That's
right?
pretty great. He's right.
I think he is right. I'm gonna kill it there.
Cool.
I'm gonna stop our recording.